ACCA Financial Management Tuition course. In this video, we're going to talk about what the tuition phase of your studies entails, the various study resources that you have at your disposal, the financial management syllabus, and also the financial management exam, and finally, some features of the FM exam software. Let's start by talking about the tuition phase of your studies. The focus of the tuition phase is to cover the key topics in the syllabus using pre-recorded lecture videos that walk you through your study materials. Your study materials will include several worked lecture examples for each chapter that then help you to apply the FM knowledge that you've been reading about and learning about. And also, each chapter on FI Learn will contain an interactive question bank allowing you to practice Section A and Section B style questions in the exam software. We will further help you to practice your FM knowledge with suggested longer form questions from Section C, and these will be supported with a combination of pre-brief and debrief videos for you to watch either before you attempt the question or after you have attempted the question. Finally, you'll have a marked tuition exam available to attempt, very important to your success in the exam, and this will then be human marked with feedback available to you and also debrief videos to watch as soon as you've finished. You'll then move on to the revision phase of the course, a separate FI Learn course that has more of a focus on exam skills and exam technique, and will have further pre-briefed and debriefed questions for you to attempt that go with the second part of the question bank. There will also be a further marked mock exam for you to attempt to get human marked feedback on. And then finally, if you choose, there is a further third online mock available, again via a separate FI Learn course that gives you one further chance to practice your exam skills before the exam and get human feedback on how you performed, along with debrief videos. Let's next talk about the various materials that you have available to you throughout your studies, and these break down into two categories. Firstly, you get PDF/hard copy materials to study from, and you'll see that the soft copies of these, the PDF copies, can be accessed via the reference resources section on FI Learn that then gives you individual files that you can click on. So you have your aforementioned course notes that take you through the technical content of the syllabus. In addition, you have a PDF copy of the question bank, and crucially this is split into two parts. Part 1 that goes alongside the tuition course and Part 2 that goes alongside the separate revision course. You have a study text that takes you through the syllabus in much greater detail if you want background reading on a particular topic area. For financial management, you get formula sheets in the exam, so we have these available for you so you can see what you'll have at your disposal. We have guides to the examiner verbs and marker abbreviations to help you better interpret the question and then to better interpret your marked work that you get back. And finally, there's a heavy mathematical element to financial management, and therefore we have links through to further maths resources if you need additional help with things like the order of operations or, say, the application of probabilities. You then have additional interactive resources on FI Learn as well. So as we've talked about, you have videos that will take you through the content of each of the chapters in your study notes. And you'll see that when you click on the tile for each separate chapter, it will show you chapter summaries of the content you're about to cover, a suggested amount of time it will take you to study, and also study guides identifying areas to cover and questions to practice. Each chapter will be supplemented with an interactive question bank that shows you Section A and Section B style objective test questions So you can see an example appearing on screen here. All you need to do is click on the link to then go through to objective test questions in the exam style software. For a mix of section C questions, you will then have either pre-brief or debrief videos. So you will have a list of suggested questions to cover in each of the individual chapters, and then clickable videos for a selection of those questions to either watch before or after you attempt that question. You will then see a series of checkpoint tests in FI Learn that give you objective test questions that test what you've studied in the previous, say, 2 or 3 chapters. And there are several of these for you to attempt. So that's good when you want to test your understanding after you've covered a certain number of chapters and you want some questions that will give you a mix of different coverage. We have a guide to using the ACCA practice software and information on how to access it as well. So you'll see that there are further practice exams in the ACCA software that you can then attempt. We show you how to access them, how to mark your own work and access the solutions. And finally, as we talked about on the previous slides, the marked tuition exam that has accompanying debrief videos and where you will also get human marked feedback. So, having discussed the materials you have at your disposal, let's now talk about the ACCA FM syllabus. And the paper it is most closely related to is the management accounting paper that you will have seen beforehand. And in particular, there's 2 topic areas that carry over from that. That being financial ratios, which you'll be using in the context of business valuations and also to assess performance. And also investment appraisal. So you will have learned about things like the payback period, the internal rate of return, net present value, and so on. And that will also be assessed here. We then go a bit further, and with those topics that carry over, we're going to look at them in more depth. So you're going to do longer investment appraisal questions that include things like inflation and probabilities. You'll be using your financial ratios in the context of larger questions where they might be supporting analysis of performance or the valuation of a business. And then we're going to introduce several new topic areas. So this isn't an exhaustive list, but key topic areas including working capital management, so how a company manages their receivables and payables and inventory and cash. Business financing, so where you get your long-term financing from and the best mix of debt and equity. Business valuations, if you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, how might you go about valuing it using asset-based approaches, earnings-based approaches, and cash flow approaches. And also hedging, so if it's the case that your business is exposed to either foreign exchange risks or interest rate risks, because maybe you have business overseas, or maybe you have, say, variable rates debt, then how might you mitigate some of those risks using financial instruments? Finally, the big difference between this and the management accounting paper is there are constructed response questions for you to do that will involve both calculation and written elements, and that will be 40% of the exam.